So God has really been helping me with my work and really been helping me with my business. And it kind of hit me the other day. I went to I had someone ask me if I could. Give me 1 second. So I went to a listing appointment with another contractor, and this was someone else who's been in the construction industry for a long time, and they're building a house to sell. So he asked if I could be the realtor, which was a great benefit for me. Obviously, it's a good commission. He's selling a pretty expensive house. And just 2 months before this, I learned how to list the houses that we're building for sale. So I had all of the, just fresh on my mind, all of the contracts and the agreements and knowing the state laws and everything. So when I went there, I could really be like an expert on it. And that was exciting. But the thing that really hit me is that when God is leading your business, it really is he helps you so much. And just this past maybe month or so, I've just seen God over and over and over again help me in my business and help turn bad situations into good situations. So this year is the first time in my life I've ever built houses from the ground up, like traditional construction. They call it stick built, which means, you're doing everything on site. All the materials are showing up on site and you're assembling the house. It's not no parts of it are being manufactured in a factory or anything like that. So I was nervous to do this. So at first I was doing modular houses, building and selling those. But by the time this project started, God had built my confidence with that you can do traditional stick building houses. So for the very first time I'm attempting it, we're attempting to build 10 houses at once. And so many people were nervous for me, and so many people were telling me it's not a good idea. What if they don't sell? You should just build one and then wait for it to sell before you start the next. But I just kept feeling like this is God's project, and I don't get my advice from a person. Actually, when I would go to people for advice, I would usually get something negative and fearful, So I'm just getting the advice from God, and God's encouragement was just start with the first 4 houses, start those, and then as you're building those, people want to buy them, and it'll give you encouragement to start the next 4. So right now we have 8 houses that are being built at the same time. 4 of them are already sold. So once the construction is completed on the first 4, then we'll have a closing and we'll get paid from that. And just every single step of the way, every person that we've needed in order to complete the construction has revealed themselves. Even the steps of the construction I didn't even know existed when I started. The right person, the right labor for that has just appeared at the right time. Whether it's the framing or the masonry or setting concrete curbs, we're doing curbs, we're doing some infrastructure and road work. And I am the head of the whole thing. I'm not the tail. I'm not the neck or the shoulders. I'm the head of the whole thing. And God has put me in that position, but I just give him that position. And every day he gives me these practical things that I can do to push the project forward. And then the rest, I leave it to him. And it has just been such an amazing situation to build my faith. And to put the comparison, this other person that I'm selling a house for, they also started their construction project at the same time as me at the beginning of this year. And he has much more construction experience. He's actually, I would say, more knowledgeable about it than me. But between then and now, they have 1 house that's half completed, and we have 8 houses under construction, 2 of which are virtually completely done. The next 2 will be done in 2 weeks, and then, following. So God really offering your business to him, making him the CEO of the business is just such an incredible advantage. And then you just don't do anything you don't feel inspired to do. Let him really lead the way. In this last week, three things happened that where I saw God's hand. Okay, so number one, we had a concrete order for 70 yards worth of concrete to be dumped into a foundation. The company made a mistake and they sent the wrong concrete. They sent it with calcium in it, which makes it harden very fast. So once they started pouring the foundation, it was hardening in the pump truck. It was hardening in the walls before the entire foundation was poured. So you get these things called cold joints in between. So that's happening. Everybody on site, I wasn't there. I was at my house, or maybe, I think I was at my house, or maybe New Hampshire, or driving. The project manager there was very nervous. The people that had the pump truck were like, if this hardens in our pump truck, it's a $500,000 truck. Who's going to pay for it? And then the masons are also, they're there getting paid to form this concrete adequately, form this foundation. And if it doesn't come out good, they're thinking, I'm not going to pay them or whatever. The drivers in the concrete trucks, there's 6 trucks lined up to pour, and they all have the wrong concrete in them. So if they don't pour it, they have to just go and pour that concrete out and it spoils. So everybody is very stressed. And they call me, and I just go to God in my heart, like, okay, God, what do I do? And it's like, well, what do you want? It's like, well, I want them to pour the foundation and for the foundation to work. I don't want them to have to pour it out and wait 2 more weeks to get it scheduled again. And then everybody's fighting and there's a lawsuit of who destroyed the pump truck, right? So I just had the idea, just get a garden hose from the neighbors and just go and spray, add water to the mix as it's coming out, and just keep pouring. Don't stop. Just spray the water in, keep pouring, and it's going to work fine. So that's what came to my mind. And everyone's giving me different advice. It's going to look like crap. They're not going to admit they did it wrong. Everybody yelling, and, one guy's from Ireland. The other guys are from Mexico. The other guys are from here. So it's dramatic. But God gave me peace. And even in that situation, that's a $30,000 decision in that moment. But God was giving me peace that, just like I've been with you and give you little solutions along the way, this is really my problem. Like, it's God's problem. So I just trusted with that. And they finished pouring the concrete. They added the water to the pump truck so they're able to flush it out. So the pump truck wasn't destroyed, which is the most expensive part, even more than the actual foundation. They poured a bunch of leftover concrete on the ground to get it out. And then that was it. Now we just have to wait for them to take the forms off to see how the walls came out. So I called the concrete company and they checked the tapes of the order and they said, yes, we made a mistake. We put calcium in it when it was never ordered, but we confirmed it with your mason and he didn't catch that there was calcium in it in the confirmation call. So they're trying to kind of get out of it. I said, okay, God just gave me the idea. Tell them you're going to send an engineer over to check it. So I'm going to send an engineer to check it. If the engineer doesn't like it, then we're going to have to rip out the walls. And then we really have to dig into who's responsible for this because it's a big setback on the project, this and that. So I tell him that. He responds with me and says, that they also have an engineer that can go and look at it. It'll be a little bit of time. So I go over and look at the wall. I'm looking at it and there's some imperfections in it. There's some cold breaks, but nothing that can't be parged and nothing that's going to affect it structurally. So I called the company back and I said, you know what? If we have an engineer come, they might blow this whole situation up. So what do you think is fair? If they come and look at it, they might say to rip it out. It might make it worse. So the concrete company says, all right, we're only going to charge you for 2 of the 6 concrete trucks to just make the situation go away. So they take $5,500 off the order. Okay. So then I go and talk to the waterproofing guy who's been doing this 30 years. And he says, oh, this foundation, I was really nervous it would come out bad, that you'd have to do all this work, but this is easy. Like, actually, for no extra charge, I can go through and add a little bit of sealer in the spots where there's like honeycomb, and you'll be fine. So God turned something that could have turned into like a lawsuit and a broken pump truck, and then the job is just sitting there for weeks and weeks, but just staying calm and bringing it to him and trusting that he's the one in charge. It ended up, I got a $5,000 discount on the order. So I was so thankful and happy about that, and got to enjoy the rest of the weekend. And when I came back, it's like, it's resolved. And this way I can keep ordering concrete from that company. We can keep having the same contractors work. Everybody doesn't hate each other. And everyone is saying like, oh, you really dodged a bullet. Oh, you really got lucky and stuff like that when I'm there, because to them, it's like such a big deal. But with God, like, I don't know, it doesn't feel like a big deal. Or maybe you go through enough things with him where you feel like this really is not as bad. What felt like a big deal was like Annie giving birth at home in a tub in the other room without health insurance. That felt like a big deal. And God made that so smooth. So now it's like, there's nothing, you become fully persuaded. There's really nothing that's so hard for him. So then another situation this week was I had a lot of like stress when I would think about a certain employee. There's a certain employee that we pay a good amount, but he has another job at the same time. So it's like very frustrating. He's not really readily available, but he gives it his whole effort. So I didn't want to be like rude or fire him or have like, I want to be like good, encouraging, that type of boss or whatever. But God kept putting in my heart, it would like vex my spirit. Like, you have to say something, you have to say something. So I was like, okay, God, I'm going to go and say something to this person. And because it kept bubbling up, I would talk to Annie about it maybe 3 or 4 times. It kept coming to my mind. It's not fitting. Like, it's not grace. If there's something you're doing in your life, you're pursuing something with business, or you're pursuing something with a relationship, you're pursuing something, and it's not fitting into place like 2 cogs of a wheel that are turning nice and smooth. When one turns, the other turns. It's oiled, so that machine is what they call a well-oiled machine. When God is building a machine, it's a well-oiled machine. When man is building it, you have all these cogs and these wheels that they don't fit together. So, it's extra friction, it's extra tension on that machine as it's trying to work, and it's wearing you out. It's wearing you out because God didn't build it. If God doesn't build it, they labor in vain. So I was feeling like this one part of my business with this one employee, it wasn't fitting together nice, and it kept kind of vexing my spirit. And so I didn't know what to do. And I even said, God, I don't know what to do. Like, God, I'm going to abundance share with the money that I have. And I'm asking you, like, give me wisdom with this. And you just resolve it. Like, I don't know if I should be good cop or bad cop, if I should be nice or angry, if I have to be a tough guy. Like, I just had no clue what to do. So I gave it to God. And then the next day after I gave it to him, we had this situation with the concrete was going on. We got a stop work order from the town because we were digging a back slope and something came up with the grading plan. And then we had another issue. So 3 issues in one day that were all pretty stressful and all required like total focus and total attention, managing the job. So I went to the job site and this employee was there, and I could tell that because of that type of day, he realized that this position requires a lot more focus and a lot more undivided attention than he's giving it. So he realized that he wasn't fulfilling the role, all right, because of that day that happened, because of the chaos, that was going on. So when I got there, the stage was set. Then I started to ask questions to this person, and also be very honest. I feel like there's some tension here. I feel like there's some things not fitting. I don't know what to do, but something's not fitting. So at the end of the conversation, he comes up with the idea and says, you know what? I want you to cut my salary. I want to take this portion out of what I'm getting paid, and I want to find someone else that can always be on the job, 40 hours a week. And let's take my money from the company and give it to that person, and I'll train them. And then I can be more of a supportive role where I can order the materials, I can set up the inspections, but I'll do that. And I was so blessed because it showed me that the tension around that relationship was, he was feeling it too. He wasn't enjoying the thing he was assigned to do, and he knew he wasn't able to keep up with it. And I was feeling the tension of it. So it was like a relief for both of us. He's like, good, we can take that money from me, give it to someone who likes to do all these things that I don't like to do anyway. I said, praise God, that sounds wonderful. And then he said to me, okay, but who should we hire? Do you want me to start looking or putting the word out there? I said, no, leave that to God. Let's leave that to God. Just trust him. And then as we're talking about this, right at the conclusion of this conversation, we're having a heart to heart. We're like, okay, good. We're on the same page. Feels like the piece, the machine is realigned. And as we're talking about this young guy named Shatik comes up and stands between us, and he goes, hey, he's a code enforcement officer for the city of Schenectady. He's new with the city, but he's been very responsive, very good to work with. He's maybe 25 years old. Grew up in the area, so he's very passionate about the project, seeing the area get nicer and stuff. And he comes up right after we finish the conversation, and he says, hey guys, I wanted to update you about the stop work order that you have, and this is what you have to do in order to start the project again. I don't agree with it, but this, I'm doing my job, this and that. We said, okay, great, man. Yeah, it was kind of a hectic day. And then my brother asked him, so, what else do you do? He said, well, I do home inspections, but my goal is really to get as much experience working for the city and then become a construction project manager and manage projects. That's what I really want to do. So we said, how long do you want to work for the city? You want to work for them for a long time? He goes, oh, absolutely not. As soon as I find that next position that I could do, then I would leave the city. I'm just doing this for experience. So I said, how about this? Would you like to manage this project? He goes, oh yeah, I would love to manage a project like that. So we just, myself and that employee, we just smile and we're kind of flabbergasted, okay, I was thinking, should I just offer him a job on the spot? Do you want to take, we have this position became available 15 seconds ago, and this is the money that we can pay you to do it. But instead of doing that, I just said, okay, great, man, we'll keep it in mind, God bless. And then he left. And it just showed me that, I don't know if this exact person, we're going to hire them, but it showed me that the exact person you're looking for is out there. And if you would stop doing the things you don't want to do anyway, there's someone there that will do it. So when you're in your own strength, just pushing through and carrying the weight and taking on the responsibilities, your eyes become blinded to this ready harvest, right? But then as you step back, and you obey those instructions God gives you, then it's right away he opened the door and showed us, okay, for me, right away there became money available and there became a potential candidate available once I handed that off to God, instead of just thinking about it, what do I do, venting about it, So that was just this past week. God has been really helping me, humbling me to show me he's actually in charge. When I talk with other people and they say oh, you're doing a lot, how do you do that? Or that's so much, are you nervous? I'm really you don't understand. I'm not doing it. This is the first thing in my life that I feel I'm really not doing. I'm observing it as God is unfolding it, for his glory. And I'm learning along the way, but I'm just taking one little step at a time. And then last thing I'll share about this is I said to God, when I first came back from India, I started a bunch of fellowships and I also started a couple other businesses. And when I was doing them, I realized that once I stopped going to once I stopped going to the fellowship, it would like die down. And once I stopped participating in that partnership, that business, it would stop growing. So it showed me that I was the moving force behind some of these things. Jesus said, it'll be good when I leave because the Spirit will come and will essentially empower growth that's so much faster than if I was here. You know, he'll bring revelation and power and wisdom, lead you into all truth. So Jesus's wisdom was like, it'll be good when I'm removed from the situation so God can move full speed. And I had never done that before. If I ever tried that, I would just see things start to diminish because it was me that was creating and carrying the weight of it, and you know, that type of thing. It wasn't God's project, let's say, or fellowship, you know. So with this business I'm doing now, I told God, like, Annie and I, it's our desire to move to Florida. And for a little while, I was nervous as we're looking at spots in Florida and thinking about it. I was feeling like, okay, once I move to Florida, this is going to be like a lot of work. It's going to be hard for me to keep doing what I'm doing up here. It'll be stressful. How will I make money? How, you know, your mind starts to wander. But now I actually feel excited because I feel like God is going to, you know, bring glory to himself, that when we move, he's actually, you know, like the same thing my employee did. When he got out of the way, immediately someone else better suited came to that position. I think the same thing's going to happen. So I'm just going to remove myself one more layer out so that God can have his way even more effectively, you know, even less of my own effort, less of my own oversight, my own control, and more in God's hands. And then what a testimony it'll be when we're doing these things at a greater order of magnitude when I'm not even present, you know, because it's like the testimony to all these tradesmen and stuff I grew up with is like, it's so hard to find people. You have to do everything yourself, you know? So how will it be that we're building 10, 15, 20, 50 houses a year and I'm not even there? So how, you know, how can you do it? Well, God is really doing it. And I believe everyone that has a path, you know, that's how that's how we have seen that the right doctrine, that's how it grows. The person who's running the fellowship empowers other people and then moves to the back. So this is so opposite of the pressure of worldly business or the pressure of worldly religion, where you have to be the evangelist, you have to be the one doing good works, you have to be the one teaching people, you have to be the one leading, and the pressure to bring that salvation is on you, or the pressure to bring success is on you. So now I almost in a curious sense am like, okay, God, like, how much can you grow this thing if I'm not even here? If I get out of the way, you know, if I take out my own natural ability, my own, you know, work ethic, hustle and grind, whatever, then what can you do? So I'm excited to see that. And who's going to get the benefit? Well, when people see, it'll build faith in them. Instead of, I don't want to build envy in people. Oh, wow, look what you did. You're so, or like, to build an ego. Like, I want it to build faith so people can see it and say, like, that's what God is able to do. And at the end of the day, inspire them to also turn over their life, their family, their business, their everything to God. So that's what I'm experiencing. And I've been using abundant sharing almost as like a tool in my business, which I never did before also, but I'm just, you know, kind of explaining to all you guys how this is going through like my carnal mind. Like, I have the mind of Christ, which is perfect, but I also have the mind of Brendan that has come up with his own ideas along the way. You know, some of them had to go, you know, renew your mind. But this new kind of thing I'm having in my mind is like, when I come into a situation with business or with life or finances or big decisions where I'm like kind of at a crossroads, I've been using abundant sharing as a tool. Like, okay, God, I'm I'm going to honor you with this, and I'm asking you to step into this situation and give me clarity, give me direction. So I've really seen that work, and it's taken so much of the anxiety out of these big decisions because I have big decisions to make. Am I moving? Am I growing? Are we buying land? Am I taking everything that I've made my whole life and betting it, putting all my eggs in one basket? Or am I doing this? Or am I going to have those tough conversations? Or am I going to start a lawsuit? These are big questions. Or how are we going to raise our daughters? What type of disciplinary, do you do? You can't, they're so cute, but you can't let them do everything. You have to have some balance. And anyway, so I've just been practicing, if you go on the internet right now and you're a businessman in America, and let's, my age or whatever, or, the internet knows you're into business, the internet knows you, whatever, the internet has been studying you. So it gives you advertisements. I probably have 50 different business, life, coach, consultant type of people that have my information over the years that just hound me to try to get me to buy their services. You know what I mean? I get the phone calls, I get the emails, I get all the ads on the internet, all these different people that want to give me advice on how to do things. And some of it, God could also use that. But for me, it's I just want one consultant. I just want one financial advisor. I just want one health care professional. I want one doctor. I want one. I don't want any other sort of insurance or any other sort of safety net, plan B, or any other sort of wisdom. I just want one. I just want his. And so abundant sharing is if people worship the devil, then they have to maybe kill a cat or sacrifice chickens, or they do. If you get deep into this stuff, what the people do, they make their offerings. They make their offerings. They do their offerings in order to get the spiritual power they're looking for. And the offerings are often very terrible, very grotesque, very costly. No matter what religion or Freemasonry or shamanism or whatever it is, there are sacrifices to be made. In this great faith that we have, Jesus Christ has made the sacrifice. He's made the ultimate sacrifice already for everyone to receive. And now God is just looking for us to entrust everything to him. So it's we're entrusting our families. We're offering our free will back to him. You don't have to drink chicken blood at a cemetery on a full moon. You don't have to do any weird initiations or hazing or anything like that. You don't even have to get water baptized. You don't have to do any of those things. But we offer back our free will as a pleasing sacrifice to God, to be as holy and acceptable to him, to be a living sacrifice. So we offer our free will back, and we offer even our finances. Where the word of God is coming to us, then we are honoring God by we're giving it to him. And we're saying, I want you as my business coach. I want you as my life coach. I want you as my wingman, my relationship coach, my health insurance, my retirement plan, everything. We're putting it on him. And I was talking to someone the other day, and they're like, oh, I can't believe, you don't have life insurance or health insurance or some of these different things, which is, it's okay if you do. If you feel inspired to do it, then you could do it. That's no problem. But I said, you know what? If in this life, some catastrophe happens and I die before my time, something bad happens where, you just hear on the news, oh, poor guy, he died, whatever, he choked on a chicken bone, or he ate something with salmonella, whatever. It's that makes God look bad. My brand is God. So I'm not worried about that at all. I'm not thinking about what if you die early, does your wife know how to? I'm not thinking about any of that, because that's going to make the creator of the universe look bad. if those who are wholeheartedly putting their hope and faith in him and some catastrophe come upon them, that's his problem. That's not my problem. Then he has to figure out what to do with his tarnished reputation, what to do with his name. Do you see what I'm saying? I'm not representing a certain sect of Christianity or a certain sect of religion. We're representing the living God, the creator of the heavens and the earth, the one who made 100,000 stars per grain of sand. You see, this creator God is the brand that's tattooed on our hearts and on our life. That's the expression coming through us. So we don't have to worry. You're guaranteed success. You're guaranteed. He wants to distinguish us from all the people of the earth. He wants to distinguish you from every other belief system, every other religion, certainly every other God. He wants every other God to come to their altar and they do the hoobie-dooby dance and they call upon Baal or whoever it was. And then we say, oh, your God must be on vacation. Maybe he's taking a nap. And then with our altar, even if they pour water on it, even if there's some additional thing to make it like especially hard, God will manifest himself. He will manifest himself to declare who he is and distinguish his people from everyone else in the world. So we don't have to be afraid of any of that. We just have to attach ourselves to him. Like we've received the Spirit, so we're sealed for everlasting life. We're attached. So we just stay in him. We just abide in him. We don't unplug from him and plug into a Baptist denomination, Pentecostal denomination, Southern Pentecostal, third time removed, the real Church of God denomination. We don't, we just stay. There's 41,000 denominations, but there's one God, and many of those denominations actually have different gods. So that's not, the one God is not leading 41,000 denominations. There's different spirits, different legalist spirits, different principalities running all the different denominations. And then there's one God. So when you leave religion, when we see people leave Hinduism, we expect them to switch gods. When we see people leave Islam, maybe we think, okay, or Buddhism or Satanism especially, we think, okay, well, they're switching gods from Satan to the one true God. But then sometimes someone who's been a Christian their whole life, that person doesn't realize you have to switch gods. If it's a certain spirit that's inspiring you now, that's not getting you the results that you want, then it's not his spirit. So you have to switch. You can't keep the spirit, but switch the Sunday meeting. You can't keep the spirit, but switch the tradition. You have to switch. You have to say, okay, like at some point you have to have the courage to say, this God I've been serving, I don't like the results. I don't think you're the creator of the heaven and earth. I don't think you're the great God that could do anything and everything. I think you're an imposter. So out with you. I'm switching. Okay. I want the living God. I want the real, and the big guy, the real one will just scoop you up. It will just take you, perfect, great. Turn from your idols and turn from false teaching and stuff. Like, again, the Pharisees thought that they were serving the God of Israel. Jesus said their father was the devil. So when a Pharisee were to get saved, he actually had to switch gods. He couldn't keep that same spiritual inspiration and that same spiritual connection that he was practicing that was making him a liar, the spirit that was the father of lies. He couldn't keep that same thing. He had to turn and come to the living God, So anyway, all that stuff just on my heart to share. And I hope with all of us that God, just like he's doing with the job site, bringing the right people for the right roles, I pray to God that he brings that same thing with fellowships, that they multiply, that they grow, that the right people come for the right encouragement at the right time. Annie and I decided that we're going to, 2 Sundays a week, we're going to join on this. And then the weeks that this fellowship isn't happening, we want to start having a fellowship in our house, maybe a little bit later in the day. So anyway, I'm very excited. I'm fired up because, I found I asked God for more encouragement, and then I found 200 testimonies saved on my phone. So I have like plenty of good and encouraging words now, and it's helping me to stay focused on Him. And so yeah, we're very excited to see what the living God can do with us, just like He has done with all the other, all the other believers who came before us, just like He did with the apostles, with the prophets, with Moses, with everybody, everyone who's led by Him. So, amen. God bless you guys. Love you guys.